Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We're just going to give it 1 second for folks to hop in, but we're very happy and excited to have you here as a part of this Getting Back on Track, Help Us Here webinar with the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Public-Private Strategies Institute. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome to the Getting Back on Track, Help Us Here webinar with the U.S. Small Business Administration and the Public-Private Strategies Institute. Before we get started, just a couple bits of housekeeping. If you have a question, please type it into the Q&A function that's at the bottom of your screen there. And also very, very important, please do not share any personal information in that function. Next, we've been covering the entire country and crisscrossing all of the regions, but today we are focusing on the Southeast and Atlantic regions from the Small Business Administration. So we're talking about Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee in the Southeast, and up in the Atlantic region, New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Next, I'd like to go ahead and turn the program over to my colleague, Rhett Buttle.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Rhett Buttle. I'm proud to be the president and founder of the Public-Private Strategies Institute. And I'm just here to say thank you so much for making time in what we know is a busy schedule. As small business owners, you are wearing 5 million hats and you could be lots of places. And we hope today's conversation is helpful to you and your business as you work to build back better from COVID-19. We've been so thrilled to be able to partner with the U.S. Small Business Administration on this amazing Get Back on Track tour. We've had thousands of business owners from across the country join us to hear about tools and resources that are available around access to capital, tips to help you be a vaccine leader in your community because we know you're an important trusted messenger, and also tools to help you take your business online because we know as we make that pivot out of COVID, you're looking for new ways to grow your business and optimize your ability to reach new customers. We've had many amazing guests. We're going to be so thrilled to have the amazing chairwoman of the Small Business Committee join us quickly. But before we hear from her, I'm going to turn the conversation over to a trusted partner at the US SBA. We're so thrilled to have her at the helm of leading the Office of Communications and Public Liaison. She's an amazing advocate for business owners and particularly business owners of color. And with that, it's my pleasure to turn the conversation over to Cynthia Jasso-Rotuno at the US Small Business Administration. Cynthia, please take it away. Cynthia, are you with us?
Unmute. Are we there?
Yes, we are. Over to you, Cynthia. Go ahead and turn on your camera and over to you.
Are you there?
Hey, Cynthia, we can hear you.
Okay, well, that's the most important part.
That's right.
Thank you all so much. It's a wonderful opportunity to be here with you. Thank you mostly to our viewers and our small business owners and entrepreneurs for your resiliency, your creativity over the last 16 months during the pandemic. This has been a very, very tough time for everyone, and we just want to know that we see you and we are here for you every day. My name is Cynthia Jasso-Rotuno. My pronouns are she, her, and ella. We are delighted to join PPSI on this weekly Getting Back on Track, Help Us Here virtual webinar series. It's a series of webinars we hold weekly. We've done 7, we have 4 more to go. As of July 13th, over 21,000 folks have registered and over 13.2 thousand viewers have joined our past 7 webinars. We will drop a registration link for future chats, for future webinars. And I am just so honored. I'm a big fan of our guest speaker and one of my role models, Congresswoman Nidia Velazquez, who I got to travel with and get to know better in 2018. Congresswoman Velazquez is currently serving as the representative for New York's 7th Congressional District, covering parts of Brooklyn, Queens, and the Lower East Side of Manhattan with very, very diverse neighborhoods. She is the chairwoman of the House Small Business Committee, so we're thrilled to have her here with us today because she has such a busy schedule. She's made history several times during her tenure in Congress. In 1992, she was the first Puerto Rican woman elected to the U.S. House of Representatives. And in February 1988, she became the ranking Democratic member of the U.S. House Small Business Committee, making her the first Hispanic woman to serve as a ranking member of the full House committee. In 2006, she was named the chairwoman of the House Small Business Committee, making her the first Latina to chair a full congressional committee. She's the top Democrat on the House Small Business Committee and overseeing over $200 billion annually in programs and contracts. A real advocate, a true advocate for American small businesses and entrepreneurs, champions several, actually numerous, small business legislative priorities. She's a fighter for equal rights for the underrepresented and a proponent of economic opportunity for the working class. So it's my distinct honor to turn over the floor to our esteemed Congresswoman, Nidia Velazquez. Congresswoman?
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for that kind introduction. And thanks to the Public-Private Strategies Institute and SBA for hosting this event, and to SBA employees, all the staff. Thank you so much for your advocacy and for the work and the service that you are providing to small businesses in our country. Good afternoon. I am Congresswoman Nidia Velazquez, Chairwoman of the House Small Business Committee. It's a real pleasure to be with you for this important event. First off, I would like to thank the small business owners here with us today for your service to our communities during this pandemic. Across the country, small firms step up to serve their neighbors during these dark times. You did this while juggling the challenges presented by the pandemic, challenges that would have been unimaginable just a short time ago. 2020 saw the most significant decrease in active business ownership in our country's history. I have seen this damage firsthand over the past 17 months that I have worked to deliver small firms the support they need to weather this storm. But I have also heard countless stories about small businesses that displayed incredible resilience and in the face of overwhelming obstacles. Throughout the pandemic, small firms like yours have done whatever it takes to stay afloat. Now, thanks to the legislation like the Economic Aid Act passed in December and the American Rescue Plan, entrepreneurs have reason to be hopeful again. In fact, in June, small business optimism surged to an 8-month high, according to the NFIB. This partially stems from President Biden's vaccine rollout and other public initiatives that have helped beat back the virus to the point that small businesses are getting closer to normalcy. But it is also a sign that the small business programs we instituted and strengthened are working. Last year, Democrats fought for second draw PPP loans and prioritizing small and minority business owners by setting aside funds just for them. Due to these efforts, in 2021, we were able to deliver more relief to the smallest of small businesses through nearly 6 million loans of $50,000 amounting to over $90 billion. Then there was the $50 billion appropriated in the American Rescue Plan that is helping guide small businesses toward recovery and setting up for future prosperity. The Restaurant Revitalization Fund delivered over $28 billion to struggling bars and restaurants across the country. Nearly a quarter of that money went towards supporting smaller restaurants through grants worth $50,000 and under. Meanwhile, the Shorter Venue Grant Operators Program has awarded nearly $7 billion to 8,967 independent businesses in the live events sector. These funds, combined with the money distributed through the Paycheck Protection Program and Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program, have gone a long way towards helping business owners get back on their feet. Small businesses have made significant progress in 2021, but there is still much more work to do. That is why, as Chairwoman of the Small Business Committee, I am working to ensure the interests of small businesses are reflected during the 117th Congress. This includes the debate around revitalizing America's infrastructure. A generational investment in infrastructure will also be an unprecedented investment in small businesses, and I will work hard to make sure that the voice of small businesses is at the table. I'm also working to advance fundamental small business interests like increased access to capital, more federal contracting opportunities, and improved critical programs at the SBA. Because for our nation to recover, we need small businesses like yours operating at full strength. Thank you all again for allowing me to address you today. I look forward to working with all of you to ensure your businesses have the support they need to build back better. And with that, I will kick it back over to Renee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman, and thank you for all the work you are doing in Congress for small business owners.
Thank you.
Well, next we have Veronica Pugen. She is a senior advisor to the SBA's Office of Capital Access, and she's here to talk about Covet EIDL. In her role of the Office of Capital Access, she leads the program and projects to deliver small business capital resources across the country with a focus on equity and accessibility. Prior to her Biden-Harris administration political appointment, Pugen worked on equitable and small business capital access for the state of California, where she led macroeconomic planning and small business operations at LinkedIn, where she oversaw project operations for a financial inclusion technology company focused on underserved communities, and consulted government businesses and nonprofit clients on project management and operations. As a consultant, she worked with nonprofit and government clients on programs targeting underserved communities with a particular focus on Latino and underbanked populations. Originally from California, she holds a bachelor's degree of arts in economics and international relations, and she has an MBA from Stanford. I'm super excited to introduce to you Ms. Veronica. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you for the introduction, and excited to follow up on the remarks from the Congresswoman articulating the administration's commitment to supporting small businesses across the country as they continue to recover and continue to thrive after a challenging period. Within that package of recovery and support that the administration is offering small businesses is Covet EIDL. And that's the program that we'll talk about today, share a bit more details, share a bit more of changes we've been making from a procedural standpoint to make this program as accessible and useful as possible for small business across the country. Before we start with the information on the program, would love to have the poll launched so our audience could have the chance to share a bit of where they're at. The poll asks for you to share about, in terms of small business loans, what size of loans would best meet your needs? What would you seek loan funds for? And how confident are you feeling as a business owner? So I'll give people a moment to fill that out. The purpose of this is just so that as I'm having these conversations with you all and others, I can deliver the information that's most useful to you and most useful to similar businesses, small businesses like yourselves. Okay, I think we can move forward. So we can go to the next slide. So a little context for those who maybe would like to get up to speed on Covet EIDL. Covet EIDL is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program that was launched in response to the COVID-19 disaster. It models disaster lending programs that the SBA has offered historically to disasters, but it is different since it was adapted to meet the unique needs of the COVID-19 disaster and how that has impacted businesses across the country. The program as it is today has two categories. There's the micro category and the full category. And the main difference between those two is the size of the small business loan funds available and the requirements that come with them. So the micro is 1,000 to 25,000, and that has no collateral nor personal guarantee requirements and has a mobile application process. If you seek funds that are higher than the 25,000 mark, those are available. The SBA is excited to partner with small businesses that are seeking that. There's just a couple of little extra requirements that are necessary for that, including collateral and personal guarantees, and a bit more paperwork in completing the application. But those funds are also available, and small businesses are encouraged to apply for those that would meet their needs for 25,000 to 500,000. Before I dive into the specific details of each category and the application process, the COVID EIDL is in the programs that the SBA has offered to support small businesses during this time. COVID EIDL is that program that's meant to meet the needs of small businesses that could use an extra bit of support to get into recovery, to get out of survival mode and into thriving mode. That's the purpose of this. The program's meant to be flexible in how you can use the funds, knowing that the nature of small business has evolved and been impacted dramatically during this time. And so as a small business owner, if you're listening to this today and considering this program, it is meant to provide flexible, borrower-friendly, quick capital as you continue on your journey to come out of this challenging time. We can go to the next slide. So the product terms for the micro category, it is up to 25,000 as an interest of 3.75. That is for business. For nonprofit organizations, is 2.75%. The repayment period is over 30 years. You can defer that for 2 years to 24 months. And for funds that are 25,000 and below, there are no collateral requirements and there are no personal guarantee requirements. And you can use these funds on a range of normal operating expenses. You can use it to pay down payroll. Wages have been increasing during this time. So you can use these funds to invest in your labor force. Rent, we at SBA are aware that rent deferments have accumulated over this time. So you can use these funds to catch up on those payments. Cost of goods sold, similarly with new requirements, given COVID-19, that has increased. You can use this for this time. And commercial debt. We are aware that small businesses during this time have had to seek out, or have been in positions to seek out private entities' debt at times at rates that are particularly high. And so you can use these funds to make those payments for that debt. Again, I can't emphasize enough that the point of this program is getting to what the Congresswoman mentioned, to provide that accessible capital for small businesses. And that can be used to pay other debt or credit cards for the business, making those payments using these funds. We can go to the next slide. So for the micro loan, the loan up to 25,000, the benefits for kind of a micro entrepreneur or sole proprietorship, or someone who works for themselves or has a certain number of employees, that makes the business be in a position that could really benefit from 25,000 or less, is the repayment. This is not a grant. The SBA has offered grant programs earlier in the pandemic to support small businesses. This is a loan, but the loan is meant to be borrower-friendly and not add to a debt burden the small businesses are experiencing, but support them. And so, for example, given the long repayment period of 30 years and the low interest rate, a $10,000 COVID loan of a micro size would result in roughly, depending on the deferment period, $28 per month. And a $25,000 loan would be roughly $70 per month. So that's the repayment. Again, it's not a grant, it is a loan, but the terms are meant to make this loan less burdensome, so you can use these funds to invest in your business get to that next step. The uses, flexible uses, credit card payments for the business, so commercial debt for your small business, increased wages, accumulated rent, increased COGS, what I mentioned before. Let's go to the next slide. So the application process, and a lot of these requirements apply to the full, for the 25,000 to 500,000. The main differences between the two are, again, the requirements, collateral and personal guarantee, not for the 25,000 and below, and the mobile application experience is for the 25,000 below. Apart from that, it's similar terms for all the way up to 500,000. So eligibility, your business must be less than 500 employees. You must have a certain credit score with the agency requires, and these funds cannot be used as startup capital. There are other programs that could be useful for those small businesses. You need to have evidence that you were in business or invested in launching a business by January 2020, before the COVID-19 disaster. The way you qualify, when you complete the application, you first complete an economic injury formula to identify the amount of loan funds that you can qualify to apply for. And so it's revenue minus COGS, basically times 2. Your annual revenue minus COGS times 2. We have a special circumstance and formula for those who started their business in January 2020 or in the middle of 2019, and that information could be available on the website. And that gives you how much you can qualify for. You, of course, are not required to request the amount of loan that you qualify for. If you qualify for 100,000, you can choose to request 50,000. Mobile-friendly application for lower dollar loans, and the deadline is the end of this calendar year, December 31st, 2021. One point that I'd like to emphasize here is that the estimated timeline has improved after process changes. So the SBA wants to recognize and respond to the fact that there have been processes that have been challenging for small businesses with COVID EIDL programs, that there have been delays or customer support experiences that haven't left all small business owners heard and their needs met in the moment that's needed and the answers they needed. And we at the SBA completely understand that is challenging. And I'm just here to emphasize that the SBA has dedicated new management resources to COVID EIDL programs. I am personally on that team who's working on improving those processes so that you can get your funds in a smoother, faster, customer-friendly manner and get what you need to focus on your small business. And so we are working on improving that. I understand that there could have been frustration still, that's understandable. We're excited to say that we already are getting results from the management resources that have been dedicated to this program. Our production efficiency has increased nearly 10 times for applicants. So an experience that happened a couple months ago will now be 10 times faster and smoother. We're still improving and growing there, but just want to recognize for anyone who has already encountered the program, we understand that that was challenging. The agency has responded to that, and we're seeing results that this will be a smoother process in the future. We can go to the next slide. And just want to reiterate, this is the full, so this is the 25,000 to 500,000. Again, the only main differences are the requirements and the application method. Collateral requirements kick in at above 25,000, and personal guarantee requirements kick in at 200,000. And so these categories can meet different small business needs. It's possible a small business could really be in a position that 25,000 meets a lot of needs, or it could be a small business really needs 200,000 to invest. And we at the SBA are excited to receive and support providing capital to all business needs that fall within up to 500,000 as of today. We can go to the next slide. So that's a bit about COVID EIDL. I appreciate those who completed the poll. So we at the SBA are always looking to make sure that the information we're delivering in these conversations are most relevant to you, most relevant to small businesses. And if there have been some question and answers, we'll do our best to respond to those. And any that we don't get to, I am working with a team, some of which are on these calls, to develop information and materials for the website that meet those questions that are coming our way. So Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, we are excited to continue this conversation and talking about what businesses needed, and more specifically, businesses needed financial resources. During the pandemic, 9 out of 10 firms sought some type of emergency funding to help meet financial challenges during the pandemic. 82% of small business owners sought some sort of PPP loan. Congress passed several laws, including the American Rescue Plan, such as the ARP, which many of us know as the acronym, and the CARES Act, which focused on helping small businesses and consumers to get through some of the tough times that we all faced during the pandemic. Next slide, please. And so today we have 3 important areas that we want to address in sharing with you on resources and ways that the SBA can help you help your business get back on track. We're going to start with relief options available to you and your business. We're going to roll into roles of vaccines and getting back to business, and then finally end with digital resources. And I know that there are many of you in the Q&A function writing through questions about EIDL and all these other things. Don't worry, we have a few minutes set aside to talk about some questions, and we're going to do a Q&A, and Veronica will be here for some of those questions as well. And we're going to talk to our next 2 amazing acting regional administrators as well during that Q&A. But first, we're going to hear from Janina Stewart, who's the acting regional administrator for the Southern region, which Janina is from Vicksburg, Mississippi. She's a native. She's a graduate of the U.S. Small Business Administration's District Director Candidate Development Program, wherein she took on a rotational assignment in directing the SBA offices in Charlotte, North Carolina, and Atlanta, Georgia. She received her BS degree from the University of Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg and has over 40 years of federal government service. In addition to the SBA, she also served in the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers in the Vicksburg and the New Orleans districts in the capacity as a contract specialist, procurement analyst, and small and disadvantaged business utilization specialist, and special assistant and advisor to the commander and district engineer for the Corps' multi-million-dollar small business programs. And then also we have the amazing BJ Pabraki as a district director for the U.S. Small Business Administration's Syracuse district office. BJ is responsible for the delivery of SBA's financial programs and business development services for a 34-county region in upstate New York. BJ has been with the agency for 34 years, so not only 34 counties, but he's been with the agency for 34 years and came to Syracuse as a district director in 1991. His responsibilities include offices in Syracuse, Albany, and Elmira, New York, as well as an oversight responsibilities for Sba Resource Partners located in the district, including school counselors to the America's Small Businesses, Women's Business Centers, and the New York State Small Business Development Centers network. Prior to serving in Syracuse, he has served as special assistant to the agency's deputy administrator, where he worked as a liaison to the House and the Senate Small Business Committees. So excited to have them both. So I'm going to turn it over now to Janina and BJ.
I needed to unmute myself. Thank you so much, Renee. Appreciate that introduction. And I wanted to, just basically say good afternoon to everybody. And thank you for tuning in. We've gotten some really, good comments and information during this session so far from our SBA headquarters colleagues. And I just wanted to say thank you to, Congresswoman Velazquez for her time and participation in today's outreach event. And I'd like to really encourage entrepreneurs and small businesses out there to please leverage your local SBA district offices and resource partners that are located in your respective area for assistance and support in accessing SBA's wide array of programs and services. Because whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur needing information about how to get started, or if you're an existing business needing guidance on expanding to take your business to that next level, your very best source and resource is your local SBA district office. So my colleague, BJ Paparaki, and we're going to kind of like tag team on the next several slides, top lining some of SBA's programs for small businesses, which leads us into, some of the other provisions of the American Rescue Plan Act, starting with the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, or SVOG as we call it. So there's been $16.2 billion that's been appropriated in this particular fund. This is a grant program. And here, just want to share some of the specifics on it. Eligible applicants may qualify for grants equal to 45% of their gross earned revenue, with a maximum amount available for a single grant award of $10 million. And, take note that there's $2 billion of that $16.2 billion funding that is reserved for eligible applicants with up to 50 full-time employees, just really trying to reach the smallest of the small. And an applicant must have been in operation as of February the 29th of 2020, and a venue or promoter who received a PPP loan on or after December 27th of last year will have the SVOG reduced by the PPP loan amount, because as you probably know, PPP loans were designed to be forgiven. So, just a couple of examples of entities that are eligible for SVOG include live venue operators or promoters, theatrical producers, live performing arts organization operators, museum operators, motion picture theater operators, including owners, and talent representatives. And so the instructions on how to apply for this grant are shown on this slide. And note that you must be registered in sam.gov, which is System for Award Management.gov. So there is a SVOG report that is updated periodically by the Office of Disaster Assistance. It's posted, on the SBA's website. It's for public consumption. And there's all types of data on SVOG that are there, including award information breakdown by state. And I took a look at it, and as of Monday of this week, there's been over 15,200 applications submitted. There has been just under 9,000 grants that have been awarded for $6.8 billion. And the average grant size is $757,000. So total grants dispersed as of this past Monday is $5.3 billion. So funding is still available. The grant process, is going on. So for those who believe that they are eligible for that particular program, we suggest that you do apply. So the next one on this slide under the American Rescue Plan Act is the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, or RRF. As was mentioned earlier, I believe there's been $28.6 billion appropriated for this fund, and it was designed to provide, very much needed help to restaurants and other eligible businesses in that hard-hit industry, really to help them maintain employees and keep, their doors open. Now, $5 billion of that 28.6 was prioritized for restaurants with gross receipts of $50,000 or less, again, trying to reach the smallest of the small. And I think it is important to highlight that recipients are not required to repay the funds as long as they are used for eligible purposes within the established time frame, which that established time frame is no later than March the 11th, 2023. And as is reflected on the slide, there were far, far more applications that were submitted to the SBA for RRF than the $28.6 billion allocated. So funds have been exhausted, and the portal for this program is closed. So the next slide, we're going to move on to the Paycheck Protection Program forgiveness process, and how to apply for that. You can see on the slide that there are 4 simple steps, for PPP loan recipients, to take in order to apply for forgiveness. Of course, the first step is to contact your PPP lender and complete the application for forgiveness. And the forms that are available to use for that is the SBA Form 3508, 3508S, 3508EZ, or an equivalent form from your lender. So several forms to choose from. Now, 3508S version is a shortened version of the full form 3508, and that may be used by borrowers that received a PPP loan for up to $150,000. So the best thing to do if you fit into that category at this point is to contact your lender, who can provide you more information and guidance on that. That's for the 3508S form. Now the EZ version is for self-employed persons and for those businesses that have no employees. There are certain requirements that have to be met in addition to that, in order to utilize the EZ form. And so for those that have no employees, you could not have reduced the salaries and wages of your employees by 25%, and you didn't reduce the number of the hours of your employees, or you experienced reductions in your business activity as a result of the health directives related to COVID-19, and you didn't reduce the salaries or wages of your employees by more than 25%. Information about this is on our SBA's website. So, go to that to get to I guess really refresh yourself on that if you fall into that particular category. So the second step is to compile your documentation, your payroll information, your non-payroll documents. And step 3, submit it. Submit your forgiveness application with all the needed documentation directly to your lender. Follow up with your lender and provide, additional documentation if they request it. Consult your lender for additional guidance, and just do all of this in a timely manner. And of course, the final step is just to continue communication with your lender through the process. Now, not on this slide, but I did want to just make a mention quickly of a brand new process that is getting underway right now, which is the direct forgiveness process, wherein PPP borrowers that have loans of $150,000 or less may apply to SBA directly for forgiveness. Now, this group of loans equals about 93%, or really 7 million loans that really remain to be forgiven. And the PPP lender has to opt into this new process. And so SBA field offices have now been provided the listing of PPP lenders that have borrowers with loans of $150,000 or less. So district offices are right now in the process of conducting training sessions with those PPP lenders, and district offices will also be providing training to the PPP borrowers over the next week on this new, this brand new direct forgiveness process. Okay, next slide. So moving on into the SBA funding programs, SBA's loan programs, investment capital through the SBIC program, disaster relief, our Surety Bond Guarantee program, and grants through SBIR. And so the next slide will, kind of top line our, some of our main programs, which are the SBA 7A Guarantee Loan Program on the next slide. There we go. So, as we all know, a critical piece of the small business puzzle, in addition to, developing a sound business plan, so you know where you are now, where you want to go, and the steps you need to take to get there, is access to capital. That's another critical piece of the small business puzzle. And so, the SBA has many avenues to try to fulfill that need. One of them, a primary one, our flagship program, is the 7A. And so this is where the agency works with a host of bank and non-bank lending institutions throughout the country. And SBA's guarantee is provided to the lending institution, which makes the loan to the eligible small business. So SBA's guarantee goes up to 85%, currently at 90% during the pandemic. And that's for smaller loans that go up to $150,000. And for loans over that amount, up to our $5 million threshold, our guarantee percentage drops slightly to 75%. But you can see in either of those cases, SBA takes on the majority of the risk, which encourages the lender to make the loan to the small business. And we can, fund some pretty significant deals at that level. So through this program, SBA can finance, startups. If you're trying to start a business, loan proceeds can be used for that. Existing businesses that are trying to grow and expand, you can purchase inventory. You can buy equipment, machinery. If your business is not in a space that you own and you're renting or leasing, you can utilize SBA loan proceeds for leasehold improvements to, try to make the aesthetics of that facility look better. You can, utilize SBA loan proceeds for working capital purposes as well. And a couple of advantages of an SBA loan is that the borrower gets a longer term to pay it back. And the interest rate is capped by SBA because we disallow lenders to charge exorbitant interest rates to small businesses, through our loan products. Now, as for statistics, as of yesterday, SBA has approved more than 31,000 7A loans for $19.5 billion nationally, of course, which exceeds the prior fiscal year. Of course, last year was mostly COVID. And also it surpasses 2019 in terms of the dollars by about $2.5 billion. So, businesses are getting back on track and utilizing the SBA's regular 7A program. So moving on to the 504 piece, this is a fixed asset financing loan program where we partner with certified development companies who act as SBA's agents in working with small businesses and lenders on these loans. This program is used primarily for larger brick and mortar projects, for example, the improvement of land, buildings, purchase of major equipment, and building facilities like restaurants and hotels and medical offices and so forth. Now, this program goes up to $5 million. It can go up to $5.5 million for certain special purposes. It does offer attractive terms because there's an option of 10 years, 20 years, or 25 years. And it also has low interest rates, which currently are under 2.4%. So this is considered a jobs creation program, and typically for every $75,000 of SBA funding, I think it's still at that level, there's one job has to be either created or retained as a result of the SBA's funding. And as it relates to agency-wide 504 statistics, that reflect that, just under 7,000 loans have been made so far this federal fiscal year for more than $5.7 billion, which actually exceeds the previous 5 federal fiscal years in both numbers and dollars. And we still have a little bit more way to go to in federal fiscal year 2021. So the last one on there is the microloan program. So SBA has a smaller loan program called the microloan program, where funding is provided to an approved microloan intermediary, which is a nonprofit organization that has experience in lending and in providing management and technical assistance. Excuse me, the micro lender is required to provide matching funds, really non-borrowed, non-federal funds, and that goes into this overall loan pool for the purpose of funding small loans to micro borrowers up to $50,000. Ordinarily, the owner of the small business seeking funding has difficulty obtaining financing under traditional means, so this program may fit their needs. Some of these loans are very small. You can get a loan for $2,500, so $5,000, $10,000, all the way up to the $50,000 threshold that you would qualify for. And one of the attributes of this program is that the micro lender also provides technical assistance to the borrower. And so far this federal fiscal year, there have been 2,824 microloans approved for more than $42.5 million. And moving on to the next slide is the lender match benefit for small businesses. So SBA offers a benefit to small businesses through our lender match program, where a small business can go to the SBA's website, sba.gov/lender match, and take advantage of this online tool where a small business can complete, just some brief information and may, hear back within 2 days by email from a lender or lenders that may be interested in funding your business. There have been several 100,000 matches made for small businesses getting SBA loans using this online tool during the pandemic. I think the number may be higher than that now. I heard that number, a couple of months ago, so I'm sure it's pretty high. It's higher than that now. So moving on to disaster relief, next slide. SBA plays a crucial role in disaster recovery because really at any given time, SBA is involved in some type of disaster assistance due to a presidential or an agency or joint agency declaration having been issued, be it for, tornadoes that occurred, hurricanes, severe storms, excessive rainfall, flooding, etc. And oftentimes these disasters do impact people, individuals, homeowners, renters, businesses of all sizes, nonprofits, and SBA can provide assistance depending upon the type of disaster declaration. And in order to apply for relief, you can go to the SBA's website. You can also go there to see which disaster declarations are currently open in your particular area, your particular county. And for those of us in the Southeast and in the Atlantic regions, we know all too well that we're currently in the 2021 hurricane season, which goes through November 30th. And so we suggest that you have an updated disaster preparedness plan to follow just in case. Now, we certainly hope that you'll not have to put that plan into action, but it's always best to be prepared in the event of than to need a solid plan to follow and not have one. And so we suggest that you prepare for the worst and then hope for the best. But that is my final slide. And so what I'm going to do now is to turn it over to my colleague, BJ Paprocki, for the Atlantic region, who will cover more information.
Thank you, Janita. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us here today. As Janita mentioned, my name is BJ Paprocki. I'm the acting regional administrator for SBA's Region 2, which includes all of New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. And I'm also currently in my full-time job as a district director for SBA's Upstate New York district office, located here in Syracuse, New York, that covers most of upstate New York, 34 counties to be precise, with branch offices in Albany, New York, and in Elmira. So on behalf of the SBA and my colleagues in the other district offices here in SBA's Region 2, including the New York District Office, the New Jersey District Office, the Buffalo District Office, and the Puerto Rico District Office, we know that the last 16 to 17 months or so have been incredibly hard on our country's 31 million small businesses. It's not been easy for you. And so as our communities and our states, our country reopen and recover, we want to talk about some additional SBA programs that you may not have heard about, but might want to consider that can help you start and grow a successful small business. Now, one thing I'd like you all to remember and to write down, if you'll take anything away from this presentation today, is our website, sba.gov. All of this and much, much more is available at that website. So if you can refer back to that and also find the local assistance bar on top for help directly. I'm going to take a minute here now to talk about investment capital. So the next slide, please. Janita talked earlier about many of our flagship loan programs, the 7A, the 504, and the microloan program. They're all very popular programs, not as popular as PPP and the restaurant and SBOG have been lately, but when we return back to normal, these will be our flagship programs that will still be managed on a day-to-day basis. But another program that SBA makes capital available to small businesses through our Small Business Investment Company, or SBIC. An SBIC is a privately owned and management investment fund that is licensed and regulated by the SBA. SBAs use their own capital plus funds borrowed with SBA guarantees to make equity and debt investments in qualifying small businesses. If you are a qualified investment management firm interested in applying for the SBIC program, there are some great information on the SBA webpage I mentioned on how to do this. If you're a small business owner who's looking for investment capital, you can find a list of the SBICs on the SBA webpage that you can search by location and industry. Next page, please. Surety Bonds. Another SBA program which serves a critical need for small businesses is the SBA Surety Bonding Guarantee Program, particularly for businesses which work on government contracts. The ability to either establish bonding capacity so that they can break into government contracting, or expand their bonding capacity so that they can bid on bigger projects to grow their company is key. Many public and private contracts require either bid, performance, or payment bonds. The SBA works with a network of authorized surety companies which provide bonding support for small businesses. If you are a small business and you'd like to find out more about the surety bonds, the SBA.gov webpage again has detailed information on the surety bonding program, including contact information for nearly 150 surety agencies which offer SBA bonds. Next slide, please. Exporting. SBA has a fantastic suite of programs and assistance for small business who want to export. I know we have people from all over the countryside here who have joined us today, and I want to note that American-made products are very prestigious and sought after all over the world. And with support from the SBA, you can find customers all around the globe. SBA makes assistance available to help you find overseas customers and learn how to structure deals in a way that's highly attractive to them. Many of you are in states which receive SBA State Trade Expansion Program funding, or STEP funding, to help you find customers in other countries. And the SBA has exporting finance programs that allow you to extend very favorable terms to overseas buyers. Additionally, through SBA's relationship with other federal agencies, we have several offices with staff from the United States Department of Commerce and the U.S. Export-Import Bank, all under one roof, to bring the full weight of federal agencies together to help you find overseas buyers, close overseas deals, and use federal financing to fund them. Next slide, please. Also, through the State Trade Expansion Program, or STEP program, as I mentioned, the SBA makes grants available to a network of partnerships with state governments around the country, which can help small businesses market to overseas customers online, designing websites, translating your materials into other languages, and connecting with overseas customers. Next slide. Probably one of the most important slides on this presentation today is our Sba Resource Partners. None of the programs that SBA has are successful without good partnerships, and I'm including our lending partners, as well as our small business development centers, our SCORE chapters, our women's business centers, veterans business outreach centers, and as you can see from this slide, a whole host of other partners that provide free or low-cost training and advice on just about any facet of small business operation. Very valuable resource, most of the time free or very low cost, and should be your one-stop go-to center for starting a business, expanding a business, or trying to deal with a situation within your own business and not go at it alone. Next slide, please. Here's a program that we're very excited about at SBA because we feel, especially at the district office level, that we'll be able to really expand our outreach and marketing efforts to reach businesses that hadn't been previously able to do. The Community Navigator pilot program was created by the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. It authorizes SBA to make grants to private nonprofit organizations, resource partners, states, tribes, local governments, and other eligible entities to provide outreach, education, and technical assistance provided by these community navigators that target businesses to increase awareness of, access to, and participation in programs and resources of the Small Business Administration. A primary driver of the Community Navigator pilot program is connecting the smallest of the small businesses and/or small business sectors, which have not previously had access to SBA resources, funding, programs, and services during the pandemic, and which will face language, technology, and other barriers during this critical time of recovery. Also, I'd like to add that all the information, including, of course, our SBA website, is available in Spanish, and there are information sheets and other information. They're also available in 30 different languages, as we are totally committed to assisting all small businesses throughout this country, and particularly here in Region 2 and Region 4. So thank you very much, and I'll turn this back over to Renee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, BJ. And so with that, there's a lot of SBA support, but there's also private sector support. And so you can easily do online searches for companies that are providing some sort of capital or assistance during this time, whether it's grants, loans, and just be mindful that there are predatory loans. So make sure you do your due diligence and do your research. Next slide, please. So there are state and local programs, which many of them have created grant programs for businesses that have been impacted by COVID-19. And just, do your due diligence, check with your state and local Office of Economic Development, as well as your Department of Commerce's, to see what might be available in your area. Next slide, please. So now we're going to move on to talking about the role of vaccines and getting back to business and updates from the CDC. So majority of small business employers say it's very important that their employees get vaccinated. More than half of small employers say their workers are turning to them with questions. More than 80% of small business employers report of having informal conversations with their workers about vaccines. More than half of small businesses, employers in the survey we had conducted by Maria Majery have found formal conversations, including staff meetings and one-on-ones with employees. And small employers are engaging their workers on vaccines as well as their families and communities. Small business owners are taking action and our leaders by getting vaccinated and helping others become vaccinated. Vaccines can help you get back to business and allow you to operate at full capacity, bring back customers in your community, and then reduce staffing issues that was once caused by COVID-19 exposure and infections. So this is what you can do, which is create a COVID-19 vaccine plan. Whether you're a big business, small business, you need a plan. You should review your state and local vaccine policies, as many of them have different rules. You want to make sure that you're doing the best in following those policies and or seek legal counsel. Consider incentives such as the new paid leave tax credit, which we're going to talk about in 1 second, which for employees to get some sort of shot, they get time and the ability to recover from the side effects if they occur from having the vaccination. In creating this vaccination plan, you want to keep your employees appraised of updates in vaccine eligibility and where they can register. You could use vaccinefinder.org. And if you live in an area disproportionately impacted by COVID-19, you can go to a Health Resource and Services Administration. And don't worry, this will be emailed to you so you can use these links to help you create your plan. Which has a program that can help you provide greater assistance. Whether you encourage or incentivize or mandate vaccines to your employees, make sure that you communicate this plan both verbally and in writing to them so that they have a consistent way of understanding how they are getting vaccinated. Continue to follow the Center for Disease Control and Prevention guidance, wearing a mask and social distance even after your employees are vaccinated. Again, there are more links and toolkits, Centers for Disease and Control of Prevention Vaccination toolkits on their website. And then also the Department of Health and Human Services for the United States government has a program called We Can Do This, and they have a campaign with resources and toolkits you can use as well. Now we're going to talk about the tax credits. And I want to just reiterate this, and I'm going to do it several times. Before deciding to go with a tax credit, definitely to consult your tax professional in order to take advantage of these valuable credits and to make sure your business is eligible. So there's the American Rescue Plan, which of 2021 allows small and mid-sized employers and certain governmental employees to claim refundable tax credits that reimburse them for the cost of providing paid sick and family leave to their employees due to COVID-19, including leave taken by employees to receive or recover from COVID-19 vaccinations. The ARP tax credits are available to eligible employers that pay sick and family leave from April 1st of 2021 through September 30th, 2021. These eligible employers is any business, including a tax exemption organization with fewer than 500 employees, also includes a governmental employer other than the federal government and any agency instrumentally of the federal government that is not an organization described in section 501c1 of the Internal Revenue Code. So self-employed individuals are eligible for similar tax credits. I'm going to repeat that again. Self-employed, those who are, employed by themselves, have their own businesses, and they're one employee, and that one employees themselves are eligible for similar tax credits. And there are other options like the employee retention tax credit or paid leave as well. So the employee retention tax credit is the refundable credit that businesses can claim on qualified wages, including certain health insurance costs paid to employees. And again, I want to reiterate, depending on your situation, you want to talk to your tax preparer or professional to make sure that you're qualified. But essentially, you want to make sure that as an employer who qualifies, including borrowers who took a loan under the initial PPP, the credit can be claimed against 50% of qualified wages up to $10,000 per employee annually for wages paid between March 13th and December 31st, 2020. And then there was an updated version which employers who qualify, including PPP recipients, can claim a credit against 70% of qualified wages paid. Additionally, the amount of wages that qualify for the credit is now $10,000 per employee per quarter for the first 2 quarters of 2021. And then finally, the American Rescue Plan updated that to say that the credit remains at 70% of qualified wages up to $10,000, a limit per quarter, so a maximum of $7,000 per employee per quarter for all of 2021. So all the entire year of 2021. So an employer could claim $7,000 per quarter per employee of up to $28,000 for the year 2021. However, under this law, certain startup businesses, those started after February 15, 2020, that were forced to shut down due to government order, may be allowed a credit of up to $50,000 per quarter. So again, you want to talk to your tax professional to make sure that you're eligible and how this works for your business. And then finally, the paid leave tax credit. Eligible employers are entitled to tax credits for wages paid for leave taken by employees who are not able to work or telework due to reasons related to COVID-19, including leave taken to receive COVID-19 vaccinations or to recover from an injury, disability, illness, or condition related to the vaccination. These tax credits are available for wages paid for leave from April 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2021. The amount of the tax credits are how they are calculated. So again, make sure you talk to your tax professional about this, but paid leave credits under the American Rescue Plan are tax credits against the employer's share of Medicare tax. The tax credits are refundable, which means that the employer is entitled to the payment of the full amount of the credits if it exceeds the employer's share of the Medicare tax. Tax credit for paid sick leave wages is equal to the sick leave wages paid for COVID-19 related reasons for up to 2 weeks or 80 hours, limited to $511 per day and $5,110 in aggregate at 100% of the employee's regular rate of pay. The tax credit for paid family leave wages is equal to the family leave wages paid for up to 12 weeks, limited to $200 per day and $12,000 in the aggregate at 2/3 of the employee's regular rate of pay. The amount of these credits is increased by allowable health plan expenses and contributions for certain collective bargain benefits, as well as the employer's share of Social Security and Medicare taxes paid on the wages, up to the respective daily and total caps. And again, talk to your tax preparer because this could be confusing and it is a lot. And if you want to learn more, again, we're going to send this out to you tomorrow. So you'll have this in your inbox. So you can check these websites out. You can go to the irs.gov newsroom FAQs, employee retention tax credit under CARES Act, and then also IRS newsroom tax credits for employee paid leave due to COVID-19. Again, one last time, consult your tax professional in order to make sure you take advantage of these valuable credits if your business is eligible. And so now we're going to talk about taking your business digital and how to grow beyond the pandemic. So a recent McKinsey survey found that small business owners are now 3 times more likely than before the crisis to say at least 80% of their customer interactions are digital in nature. The pandemic created a need and opportunity to move to digital capabilities, and more businesses are utilizing web presence for awareness, e-commerce capabilities, and digital fulfillment where there's no touch, where there's possibilities. And then we want people to make sure that you are assessing whether you have fully implemented digital resources. And we want you to ask yourself these following questions. Do you have a website? If you say yes, you're in the right direction. Do you have ways to receive payments digitally? If you're answering yes, that's great. You're moving even further in the right direction. And then can you do no contact transaction fulfillments? If you're answering yes, then you are definitely moving in the right direction and moving your business to a digital world. So with that, I would love to bring back Janina and BJ for them to talk about their regions and things that are happening there in their districts. So first up, we have BJ.
Thanks, Renee. First of all, in Region 2, which is you're seeing up on the slide right now, in addition to the offices listed, we also have several other branch offices located throughout the region. One is in Rochester, New York. One is in Albany. One is in Elmira, Long Island, and the Virgin Islands. But currently, due to the pandemic and the COVID restrictions being placed on us at SBA, there are no in-person visits being conducted within the office. In fact, I'm in my office today, but I'm the only one here and have been periodically through most of this past year. No certain time as to when we may open up again, and I'm pretty sure, and for the most part, our resource partners are not doing in-person face-to-face meetings at this time, or holding any type of formal seminar or instructional type venues. It's all being done virtual. So in order to access help from us, as I mentioned before, and you can see on this slide, the various websites to contact us, to look up our calendar of events, to be able to contact the local Small Business Development Center, SCORE, Women's Business Center, or Veterans Outreach Center, and see what the calendar of events is and upcoming. It varies and changes on a weekly basis as different things come up or become important. So I would advise everyone that's here today to keep these websites and email addresses open. If you have questions of specific offices, like for example, the Buffalo District Office at sba.gov, those go into a email box in each district office and are answered as they come in by the staff. Our roles have significantly changed from being out on the road and visiting businesses and outreach to our lenders and our economic development organizations, to being more of a customer service center as best we can. We don't have all the answers directly, but we can certainly get you as much information as possible. What do you say, Janita? You're on mute.
That's right. Keep forgetting about that. Yeah, completely agree with everything BJ has mentioned there in terms of the current operations of the offices since really last year. And, you know, in terms of the outreach and marketing, I would just say that, you know, there's been far more marketing and outreach by SBA staff in the field during COVID than it was pre-COVID, really, really, because we're able to reach more, larger and many more audiences. But I wanted to mention that the SBA Southeast region has 6.8 million small businesses anchored there. We're comprised of the states and districts that you see there, all, from Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. There are 2 offices in Florida. The North Florida District Office, which is in Jacksonville, and the South Florida District Office in Miami, North Carolina, South Carolina, Kentucky, and Tennessee. And so these SBA district offices are led by my colleagues, my fellow district directors and deputy district directors throughout these states, and they are supported by a well-rounded team of SBA staff. And you will, I believe tomorrow, whoever's tuned in today will receive not only the PowerPoint presentation, as I understand it, but also a listing of some of the upcoming events that are going to be taking place in the SBA Southeast region, as well as the Atlantic region. But really the best way to really get up to date on what's going on within various SBA district offices is to go ahead and sign up for the SBA automatic, email listing, and that's each district office has its own. So if you go to the district office, just say Mississippi SBA, .gov/MS is for Mississippi. You can kind of go there, and there's an opportunity at the very bottom of the site to sign up for automatic emails. So that way you can get the information just immediately as to what's going on within the agency, e-newsletters, activities and events and those kinds of things. Okay. Yep.
That's excellent advice. Also on Twitter and other social media platforms too.
Yeah.
Wow, that is great. And I think right now, there's a lot of people who have some questions. The Q&A was jumping. So, we want to definitely hop into that. And I think the first question is, because both of you mentioned that a lot of events are happening, how do people find a local SBA office? I know we had the list up a moment ago, but how do they find it? How do they, like go into one? How does that happen?
So the easiest way is to, as I said before, go to sba.gov, our main website, and at the very top, hit the button that says local assistance. Brings you up to a page. You put your zip code in there and it takes you right to the office that's closest to you, gives you all the information about who's who in the office, what they do. You can sign up for their newsletters, ask questions, make phone calls. That easy.
That's amazing. And then also, what's the difference between a regional office and a district office?
So go ahead, Janina.
Yeah, the regional office is the office that actually oversees the various district offices, like what you're seeing on your screen there with the 9 districts in the SBA Southeast region. So the regional office for the Southeast region is the seat of it is physically in Atlanta, Georgia, but we also have a district office in Atlanta, Georgia as well. In fact, they're in the same building there. And so the district offices, that's where the delivery of programs and services and really assistance to small businesses and entrepreneurs, that's where it really happens. And the regional office's function is basically to oversee those districts within the region.
Amazing. Are you able to help people with technical assistance?
So typically, we defer as much as we can. Yes, we have a small staff. Okay, I have in the Syracuse district office, we have 7 people, and a lot of our time, for example, our lender relations specialists are working with our lenders, trying to get them on board to participate in our loan program, so they can provide the much needed access to capital to small businesses. The direct technical assistance to small businesses is done through our contracted resource partners, like our small business development centers, women's business centers, veterans business centers, and SCORE. So any type of hands-on, how to start a business, business planning, those kinds of in-depth, maybe requires more than one visit, is done, like I said, through those resources. Mute, John.
I'm like the generation millennial that I am. I didn't know how to use mute right there. I see that there were people who were trying to learn more when we're talking about like the veteran small businesses, who were like women small business centers. What are SCORE centers? What are SBDCs? What are women small business centers in relation to SBA and sort of regional and district offices, and how do they come to play and work with you all?
Okay, the Small Business Development Center, there's a network in, I guess, every state. So they, in addition to the Veterans Business Outreach Centers, the Women's Business Centers, and SCORE, they're all funded by the SBA. So the SBDC network, and they provide somewhat similar services in terms of the management and technical assistance, counseling and training, coaching, those kinds of things. The assistance they provide is free and confidential because it's paid for by taxpayers like me and you and me. And so, there's just an encouragement for people to take advantage of that assistance that's out there. And they can assist in terms of helping with business plan development, helping to develop marketing plans if that's what the need is, getting, trying to help someone get their business started just off of the ground, and they can direct you into where they need to go with that. SCORE is, that's our group of volunteers. They don't get paid for what they do. So they're a volunteer organization connected to the SBA, and they're expert business counselors. Many of them are still active in their businesses. There are some that may be retired, and they again volunteer their services and assistance to SBA and to help small businesses and entrepreneurs. So that's kind of the short version of what those organizations are and how they're connected to our agency.
Wow. Well, this has been great. And I know we went over, and I know we mentioned talking about some of the idle questions, but unfortunately, we have sadly run out of time. But what we are going to do is let people know that there are a series coming up very soon, within a matter of days, for people to attend about idle, COVID idle. And so we want people to stay tuned for that. You'll be notified about it and how you can connect and attend and learn more and get your questions answered. But if you have any particular case information about your specific, because I know there are quite a few people who wanted to have some updates about their idols, you can go to disaster, DISASTER, customer, CUSTOMER, service, SERVICE, at symbol, SBA.gov, and go ahead and email them about your particular case. Again, that's disaster customer service at SBA.gov. So we apologize, we've run out of time, but we want to thank all of you for coming today to hear more about the programs and opportunities that you have to get back on track with your business. Want to thank Janina and BJ so much for joining us today. Want to thank Veronica as well. Want to thank Congresswoman Velazquez as well as Rep Buttle. And then also want to shout out that the SBA will host the 2021 National Small Business Virtual Summit from September 13th through the 15th. So stay tuned to SBA.gov for more information as it becomes available. It is free to attend, so definitely get excited, get eager, all those things, and register as soon as it becomes available. And then also there are 2 more Getting Back on Track webinars coming up. So next Thursday, we are going to have another one here at 2 p.m. And then again on August 5th, will be the conclusion of the webinar series at 2 p.m. If you have any SBA related questions, you can feel free to also use Answer Desk at sba.gov. And then if you have not registered or you're watching this on Facebook Live, feel free to email us at events at publicprivatestrategies.com, and we'll make sure that you get that copy of an email that we're sending out tomorrow that's going to have all the amazing webinars and events that are going on in Janina and BJ's district. And with that, we want to say thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you to our speakers, and we'll see you next Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Take care.